Mr. Kafwaya, when it comes to accountability, we've seen the checks and balances does take place not only outside of Parliament, but it's mostly amongst the opposition politicians. So do you think that within the UPND alliance itself, is there any sense of internal accountability that is being conducted?
Just the problem is that when you are sitting on the right, you see things from your perspective. And when the other people are sitting on the left, and that is irrespective of what aisle exists, whether you see a political aisle, or you see a religious aisle, or you see just a social aisle. When you are on one side, you tend to think that what you are doing is really the best. And the other people on the opposite side think that what you are doing is the worst. And this is where it's very important for, particularly for the people with power, to open their ears a little wider and accept views that are coming from those that are sitting on the opposite side. Because if you don't, you'll be thinking you are doing great. You'll be thinking the things you are saying are great, and yet you are actually losing your support there. So I think that it would be important for our colleagues in power right now to listen more to us, listen more to civil society, listen more to the church, listen more to interest groups. If they do that and then reconcile their own feelings, their own perceptions with the perception that is coming out there, and begin to chart a Zambia that is acceptable from their side and the side of those sitting opposite to them, they have a higher chance of sustaining their stay in authority. But if they don't, unfortunately, there's only one way out.
One of the things that many stakeholders are engaging on or requesting the government to be answerable to is the issue of transparency. And we have seen the president himself speak on some of these matters. We've seen other stakeholders like Transparency International Zambia also speak on these things in terms of how the UPND government is communicating some of this information. And many feel that the communication is slowly building up, but regardless, we still have seen a bit of a breakdown in terms of how they are disseminating information to the public. And the concern has been that why does it have to take the whole president to address the media or the nation on certain issues when we have individuals like the chief government spokesperson, or when we have individuals like the presidential spokesperson? Do you think that on the end of communication, the UPND administration has been doing so adequately?
Well, I think very important question that. I have to say my own perception in the manner the UPND has been communicating to the people has been very confused. And I say so because I saw not too long ago the Minister of Justice speaking on behalf of the presidency, you understand, making claims, no, the president never did, the president doesn't do this. Now, listen, the president doesn't get permission from a minister to undertake his task, okay? And so you can only say what the president tells you as a minister. But there is only one government spokesperson, and that is my colleague, Honorable Francesca, the Minister of Information and Media. That is the only person I think has the capacity to speak on behalf of government in general. But when it comes to President Hakainde Hichilema, he's only got one spokesperson, and that is Comrade Anthony Bwadia. In the absence of that, it has to be himself to speak, you understand? So you can't have Honorable Haimbe speaking on his behalf. It's unheard of. Honorable Haimbe has got a huge task to deal with, the Minister of Justice. And he's a link between the executive arm of government and the judiciary. In that respect, his task is massive. He can't find time to speak, to begin to speak on behalf of other people. I think that it's quite confusing. But when Anthony speaks and the president comes to speak, sometimes the issues are conflicting. They are not consistent. So you have a big problem. When my colleague Francesca speaks and the director of do they call him, director spokesperson. When he also speaks, it's something else. So I have a problem with the manner in which the UPND government is trying to communicate to the people right now. But you see, that's, and if UPND would see things the way I do and agree with me, that's the beginning of correcting what my perception is. But you see, my perception is not entirely 100% correct, because I am just one among many. Other people could be thinking, yeah, maybe UPND is doing the right thing. You understand? So there has to be that understanding. Now, you spoke of transparency, and I think that's the main thing in your question. I think being transparent is saying we met Mulenga, okay? You say it now, and when you check the documents will tell you that Mulenga was met. That's transparency. Transparency is not saying we didn't meet him, and then let us begin to image, showing the opposite. Because being transparent is being seen through, you understand. When you say something, people investigate, they find the truth. That is transparency. So again, on that score, if you think of the events that are happening right now, listen to the GTP, who is speaking for the lifting of the oath of secrecy, so that she can defend herself. So transparency would be she's on her own. So let's lift her immunity so she can go and save herself, because she's on her own. But you can't demand that she ought to be on her own, and yet the simple request of immunity, or should I say secrecy removal is not being taken. So we have a lot of transparency issues, Look at the $33 million FTJ University issue. It's a simple matter. That transaction happened in the Ministry of Finance. You understand? The public is itching. The people want to know what happened to the $33 million. How is it difficult for Ministry of Finance to, as it exists now, not the Ministry of Finance of President Edgar Lungu, but of Akande Express? Why can't they go to the media and spell out what happened to the $33 million? It's simple. Now, people are asking wrong people. People are going all over the place asking people who can't explain, people who are not sitting in the Ministry of Finance. So I find that to be very, very sad. And I do think that it could be a strategy to divert people's attentions when important things come up. Yeah.
Mr. Kafwaya, I'm asking for your perception and your version of the events. When you mention transparency, do you believe that transparency is an issue in the 8 months of this regime, or do you believe that transparency has been an issue in the many, many regimes that have been coming prior, let's say even at the time of our founding father? Do you not believe that transparency has been an issue in Zambia's history as opposed to right now?
The issue of transparency is a governance matter. You know, it's more like cadres in bus stops, in bus stops and and markets. It's a governance issue. It has been with us, and it will continue to be with us. So what we need is to improve. I think President Edgar Lungu needed to improve upon the contribution Michael Sata made. President Hakainde Hichilema needs to improve upon the contribution that President Edgar Lungu made. It's very, very important. There's always room for improvement, and the UPND government has got a chance to improve.